All right, let's go ahead and get started with our city council meeting tonight. We appreciate everyone being here tonight, especially all you scouts. This will be the most exciting thing you get to do in scouting, if you can bear with it. So glad you're here, and we appreciate the scouts are here. To get started, we'd like to have our motivational message by, I'd like to invite Amberlyn McDermott to come up and address us. Thank you.
Hi.
Oh, you can stand right in front of it? No, right here, and you address
you guys. Okay.
10 million people watching on TV, so there you go.
Okay, all right, awesome. All right. Live your life without sharp edges. Let things move through you. Allow things to simply be just as they are. After all, we are made of movement. And anything stagnant, both in the body and in the mind, only keeps us from finding our true self. Namaste.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I've asked Councilmember Beck to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please repeat the pledge after me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'd like to invite the Fiesta Day Rodeo Committee to come up. They've got a presentation.
Oh boy.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go.
Looking good, Mayor.
Thanks.
We have a good turnout with the rodeo committee here tonight. With some exciting news. Our rodeo, the Spanish Fork Fiesta Days Rodeo, was voted on by the contestants, the cowboys and cowgirls, to be the top rodeo in Utah. Which is pretty neat. There's a lot of big rodeos in Utah. So pretty prestigious award. I think we've won this award, probably 10 or 11 years in a row now, but it never gets old. So we enjoy it. Last year's rodeo was a good success. We had sellout crowds again. We had a clown that went on to win Clown of the Year. Our stock contractor won Stock Contractor of the Year again. So a neat event. This year we have kind of some changes coming. We have the first ever Extreme Bulls event in Utah, which is a full night of rodeo dedicated to just bull riding. The committee... That's right.
And each one of the council members will draw a bull.
Actually, no. Seriously, we weren't going to do that, but it's actually really tiring for the clowns and the barrelmen, and so there are 6 heats, and we need some dumb clowns.
I'm in.
When he says clowns, we need bullfighters.
Yeah.
We don't need a funny guy. We need somebody to fight the bulls.
Again, I'm the only one that's been through taser training.
Brandon's our guy.
I was jumped by a mini bike last year, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. It's almost the same thing.
It's pretty close to the same.
Large man.
So it'll be a fun year. We have a lot coming. Ticket sales are ahead of where they've ever been. If you don't have your tickets, get them early. They're going fast. We as a committee would like to thank the council and the mayor for their support of the rodeo. We'd like to thank the Diamond Fork Riding Club. They're made up of a bunch of really good local guys. They do a lot of good in the community for youth and veterans. We couldn't do it without them. So thank you. Anyway, we'll present this to you.
Well, thank you very much.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank
nice
you.
Sure. Way to go.
Picture time.
We're standing in the background. They're standing in the front.
All right, crowd in here.
Okay?
It's just not right.
I'm gonna stand behind you.
And just part the way just a little bit right there.
Front and center, that's it.
Don't crowd in too much. So I can hold the black. There you go.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Good deal.
How are we getting this back on? Darn it.
All right. Just like to appreciate all that the rodeo committee does. They spend a lot of time and effort trying to make our rodeo a great rodeo. As you all know, we are a Hall of Fame rodeo, and so it's kind of cool. And so thanks for all those guys. And this is a well-deserved award, and we're grateful for it. Okay, Employee of the Quarter. Who's going to come on down, Chris? Jared? Anybody? Whoever wants to come.
Michael.
And where's...
So without any coordinating, Jared and I and a few others actually nominated Michael Clark to be Employee of the Quarter. Michael's been with us for a year and a couple months, and I've learned some interesting things about Mike since then. First of all, he sacrificed quite a bit, like a bonus and some other benefits to come when he did, and I had no idea about that. But he has been such an outstanding employee for the city. Has just done so many great projects that have saved us money in consultant fees. He brought a lot of talents with him that normally we had to go out of house to get. But also, it's been done much better than what we've had in the past. So I've been really, really grateful for him and his work. We've had outside entities come after some of our employees several times. And this has happened this last year with Mike, and I felt real anxiety about it. I was really nervous we'd lose him, and what effect that would have on us. So that just kind of helps you see what kind of a great employee he is. And Jared's the supervisor, so I'll let Jared say a few things, but it's just interesting how many people without any coordination all jumped in and nominated this guy. He's a great employee.
I'd just like to add to that I was really worried when Corey took on the wastewater division manager job. It really did cause me a lot of anxiety. But we're really lucky to get Mike. He stepped right in. He's hit the ground running. He changed the way we look at development master planning. We're going to do it all in-house. We've redone this last year we did the transportation master plan, and the way we've redone that is set up a format that will do the master plans for here in the future. This will save us a lot of money, but more importantly, we'll be in charge of the master plans. And so we'll have them in-house, we'll be able to answer questions, and this is all because of Mike. So, and I've also noticed he's really challenged the companies that created our models and master plans. I mean, he sends out numerous emails, he's always asking them questions, and he seems to get right down to the nuts and bolts. And so we're finding out most of what we need to update and where we can fix it. So yeah, he's great. So.
Keep talking.
I didn't write
I'm sure there's something else you can say about him.
Well,
yeah, there is. I'm sure there is.
He's got 2 sets of twins.
Maybe we can have Mike say something while he's...
I know he's got 2 sets of twins. That's what I...
2 sets of boys.
Oh,
Keep us busy.
He does have 2 sets of twins, and that's the most amazing thing I guess I've heard about.
Right, go ahead and you get to say, you get your 1 minute.
I get my whole minute?
Yeah.
10 seconds. I'm appreciative for working here. Love working here. I was an intern here during college and went away to Idaho and then Orem. Found my way back here, and these guys are the main reason I came back. Was work with good mentors, people I trusted, people industry-wide, go to conferences. Go see what Spanish Fork's doing, So I wanted to be a part of that, as well as be mentored by these 2 guys. So good reason to come back, and I love being here. So.
Congratulations. come back here. Stand right in front. Now, Stacy won't let us go without a good photo op.
I think it's Scott now.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
Jared, you're can you squat down?
Okay.
Somebody blocking me.
Perfect, thank you. Good enough. Thank you. Thanks. I've always contended that we have some great employees here, and he's one of them. So we're grateful for Mike and this great honor, him and his family. Okay, we'll move to public comments. Anyone from the public like to address the mayor and the council, you're welcome to come up. Well,
On behalf of a probable number of Spanish Fork residents that are employed by the federal government, we were wondering, as their furlough may continue, as it has continued, we think we'll hear from more and more as bills come due that, hey, I haven't had a paycheck in 2 cycles. Is there anything you can do for me? And I fully believe that these individuals will get all of their pay, but currently our billing policies and practices spell out specifically how we need to go forward. And I want to get some of your thoughts maybe briefly on how to go about working with individuals that might be in this situation, potentially waiving their late fees and giving them the opportunity to get their paychecks and then come current. I don't really want to make a big deal out of it. We don't want to have to do a lot of research and identifying, exactly what they do and where they are, but maybe have some latitude in adjusting late fees and things like that. I don't know if you have any sudden or immediate thoughts to that, any feelings as you may consider that or have thought about. Do we have any federal employees here that may be affected by those furloughs?
Absolutely. Yeah. Make it happen.
Again, I think they'll all get their paychecks. Historically, they get paychecks, and so they should be able to come current. But I think with a little bit of latitude, we might be able to ease some individuals' anxieties that are put in a situation that they didn't create. They're being held maybe hostage by. All right, we're comfortable with that. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
anyone else that'd like to come up? If not, I'd move to council comments. And let's start with Councilman Scobes.
Mayor, I don't have any business at this time.
Right. Councilman Mendenhall.
Thank you, Mayor. Had a Rotary meeting today. Appreciate the Rotary Club and their weekly meetings on how we can volunteer and just help out in different ways in the community. Some exciting stuff this year that the Rotary is going to be involved in that I'll make public at a later date. But part of it deals with Parks and Rec and different things where we're going to have some synergy there. I'm excited to see that come to fruition. Today's meeting, we invited Representative Mike McKell to come give us an overview of the upcoming legislative session that starts on Monday, and he was very gracious to answer questions and kind of give us an overview of how that's going to go. We'll be up there as local elected officials day next Wednesday, and look forward to sitting down with our leaders up there and coming up with solutions. The other item I wanted to just read really quickly, I was asked to write an article for the Utah League of Cities and Towns, which we're rotating through the board to do, and so earlier this week is when this article hit, and it just speaks well of Spanish Fork. I appreciate Dave and Seth and Tyler and Scott and everybody that came to my aid when I asked for help in putting this together. Just the last paragraph of it speaks well of our city, I think. It says, each city and town is unique, and there is no one-size-fits-all approach to planning for growth. People don't choose where they live solely based on essential services. They seek the quality of life that cities work to create and maintain through effective, visionary community planning. I'm proud of the progress that we're making together both in Spanish Fork and in cities and towns across Utah. I think it just speaks well what we just talked about with awarding Mike Clark that we're a visionary city that plans for the future. We're not afraid of the future, but we lean into it and try to plan well for it. So kudos to staff and all you do to make that happen. That's all I have, Mayor.
Great. Councilman Gordon.
Kudos to staff and a happy birthday to the staff leader, Seth Perrins. Just wanted to wish him a feliz cumpleaños, which is Spanish for I hope it's a good day. You good with that? Just as long as I can embarrass you a little bit. Seth is a wonderful city manager, and we're lucky to have him. He does a lot of wonderful things, and oftentimes we talk about individual groups within the city and departments, but Seth is very involved with each and every one of them, and I feel especially grateful that he's here. So I hope he does have a happy birthday. This Thursday night we have our chamber banquet, installation banquet. We'll install all of our new officers. That's up at the Oaks Reception Center, and so wanted to make note of that. I'm not sure who, if all, or is attending that, but remind you of that. Our chamber retreat was last Thursday. We were in here in the chamber, council chambers for most of the day, discussing the upcoming year, a lot of the goals and things. It always seems to go back to the Easter egg hunt and all of the efforts and the work that goes into planning events like that. And we have a lot of great people that serve on our chamber board and spend a lot of time, and great business leaders. Tomorrow I have a garbage meeting that will be very important because we will discuss the potential purchase of the land near the jail that we have discussed in the recent months in order to facilitate relocating the transfer station here in Spanish Fork. So that will be discussed tomorrow night at our meeting for the South Utah Valley Solid Waste District. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Great. Councilman Largall.
I don't have anything at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Beck.
I have a couple things. Our Fiesta Days committee has chosen our theme, and it's going to be Celebrate Good Times, and we have the logo and everything picked out, so we're excited about that. And then Carol Lee Dancy, she's this year's chairman, and her and I went and extended an invitation to Annalee and Richard Johnson to be our grand marshals this year. So they were just ready to accept whatever position we were going to ask them to volunteer in. And so they were pleasantly surprised when they are just going to be able to ride in the float and wave and go to all the activities and be recognized in the magazine. Their list of service is very long and it's very deserving, so we're thankful to them. And then last Monday night we had all of the committee event chairs, so all of the volunteers over every single thing that happens during Fiesta Days. We all met with them and made sure the website was ready to launch on February 1st so people can start applying to participate and be in the parade or have a food vendor booth or have a booth at the craft fair. So Fiesta Days is going strong. A reminder that this Saturday, the 26th, here at the City Hall at 10 a.m. will be a meeting for anyone who wants to try out and represent Spanish Fork City as Miss Spanish Fork for 2019. So the pageant will be on March 16th at Maple Mountain High School. But for any of those young women, 17 to 25, that are interested in trying out for that title, you will need to be at that meeting this week. And then for the Youth City Council, they're actively involved. This last month's meeting, we had Mayor Leifson come and speak to the youth, and he, of course, did a fabulous job, as always. Last month, they had Dave McKee, Spanish Fork High School principal, come and talk to him. So it's just been really fun to watch them. And they will also be going up to the Capitol on Wednesday all day long and serving there. We have a really big Youth City Council, 60-plus kids, of which about 20 to 25 will be going next Wednesday to spend some time up there. So I think that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I think all 65 of the Youth Council was there at the meeting I spoke to, because this place was packed. And so great youth. I'll tell you what, that's an exciting group, and Spanish Fork was well represented with all those young leaders, and we're excited to have them. Also, just a quick reminder, Over the weekend, we had some of that white stuff fall, that big heavy snow. We'll probably get some more. Just remember about our parking policy. When it snows, please move your cars off the streets into your driveways or wherever you can move them so our snow plows can get through and get through quick and fast. If they don't have to dodge cars, they can get to the whole city in a hurry. And so you can help out, and we'd appreciate looking at that. They're doing the best they can, and we'd appreciate, so if they're not there doing your street quite as fast as you want, be patient, they'll get there. They'll get there. Okay, let's move on to consent items.
Motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Argal. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, let's talk about ordinance 02-19, changing the zoning designation and amending the official land use map of Spanish Fork City General Plan, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you, Mayor. As you mentioned, this is a proposal to amend the city's general plan. The general plan has two parts to it. One part is a map. And the general plan map it's not zoning, but it tends to serve, and it's intended to serve, as kind of our blueprint for zoning. So one of the things that we check when we review proposals to change a zoning district, and zoning districts really govern what people can do with properties in this city, we check to see if that proposed zone change is consistent with the general plan. So in this case, we have been working with the developer for a little while now who would like to develop some property residentially. And that property is currently designated commercial on the general plan, and it's zoned commercially. It's in a commercial zone or commercial office zone. So this is in anticipation of bringing a proposal to you in one of the future months to change the zoning from commercial to some residential zone to potentially facilitate the project that you've been given some background information on in the staff report. But the proposal tonight is simply to amend the city's general plan map to take that designation from a commercial designation to a residential designation. I'll give a few more details on it, but want to mention as well that relative to this proposal, we did receive a letter from the Beesingers. That also is included in the staff report, where they simply expressed some different concerns about the idea of the property being developed residentially. So just to make that clear and make sure that's on the record. The subject property is near the intersection of Expressway Lane and State Road 51. There's a lot going on this image here. So right now, the property that we're talking about is entirely designated commercial on the general plan. That's that red color. And the proposal would be to take basically the southern half of that parcel and change that designation from commercial to high-density residential. We already have some high-density residential land uses to the east of the subject property, over on the east side of State Road 51, and to the south, where we have a little townhome project that's been under construction for a while, just to the south and west of the subject property. But that's the proposal specifically, is to change this area with that hatch pattern on it from commercial to high-density residential. As proposed, from a land use perspective, I won't say that we necessarily have concerns about the proposal, but I will say, and want to be very clear, that Spanish Fork City really doesn't have an abundance of properties that can be developed with non-residential uses. I think it's very common for cities maybe to overzone for commercial uses, but that's not the case for Spanish Fork. As we look at the area surrounding where the hospital is going to be built, for example, where the Canyon Creek development is underway and so forth, it may look like there's a lot of vacant developable land out there, and I think a lot of times that's the perception that people have. But if we go through an analysis property to property and we identify, for example, parcels that really are landfills, parcels that have wetlands or some other limiting factor like that, properties that have been used for uses like automotive storage yards that we know will require some care before they can be developed and so forth. The properties that are left to be developed non-residentially are few in number. And certainly this property here has some potential, given its proximity to this particular road here with the volume of traffic that it carries, with the connection that Expressway Lane will become in the future. We don't want to discount the value of that property for non-residential uses. But there's a big catch here, and it is a number, I'm going to just kind of eyeball it and say something between 7 and 8 acres of wetlands on the northern half of the property. I first saw a delineation that was accepted by the Corps of Engineers for this property back in 2006. That identified a significant part of it again as wetlands, which in essence means it's not going to be developed today. The applicants have been working with the Corps of Engineers for a number of months to make sure that even the southern half can be developed, and they think they're on the cusp of having the necessary documentation from the Corps of Engineers that they would need to be able to move forward to develop the southern half. And in essence, how we look at it today is that because of the wetlands here that immediately make that undevelopable, there are no non-residential potential users of property that would develop the southern half where there's this few hundred feet of undevelopable land between them and the access to their property and the visibility to the property. So we've kind of bent. And I feel comfortable today recommending that this proposal be approved, so that the general plan be amended for that southern part to allow for it to develop, in essence, with townhomes. But still, for the northern part, I do believe a day will come to when land will be valuable enough in Spanish Fork and in this particular part of the community that somebody will go through the process that they would need to go through with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to mitigate those wetlands. And with the depth that would be maintained here between this development and Expressway Lane, you'd still be able to do a nice non-residential project, perhaps a combination of professional office development and retail development. And frankly, I think there will be demand for that as well in the future. So that's a long way to say that we as staff, that's myself and the Development Review Committee, we recommend that the proposed general plan amendment be approved for the part of the property that is hatched in kind of that orange hash fashion. The Planning Commission reviewed this in their meeting and recommended that it be approved as well. And again, this is in anticipation of you likely seeing a proposed zone change and site-specific plan, a preliminary plat for a townhome project sometime in the next few months.
So we have the applicant here.
The applicant's here, yes.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go into public hearing, and I will invite the applicant to come up and speak. We need to go into public hearing first. All right. I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Mendenhall, a second by Councilman Scobes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Now I'd invite the applicant to please come up and talk about this development. State your name.
My name is Andrej Christensen. Grateful to be here, council member and mayor members. We'd like to. We think this will be a great addition to your city. We're going to do nice. Try to do a very nice product that will be last and be a good product. So this time, like was said, it is the wetlands stretch all the way across the front of there. It's going to be hard, and I know that this isn't the first time that somebody's tried to develop this ground. I know it's been tried to develop for many years, and it's just not being able to move forward because of the issues with the Army Corps and the wetlands. So, any questions?
Any questions from the council to him?
Not now.
Okay, we might sooner, but we might call you back up. All right. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone that would like to come up and talk about this particular project, you're welcome to come up and talk about it. Seeing none, any other questions do we have for the applicant?
Maybe just one question, that what makes you think it's...
Come on up, please.
Sorry, Mr. Christensen. What makes you think it's different now? If, say, many times this is tried to happen and go through it?
We've worked with the Army Corps for over a year, okay. And they have spoken with us. We feel like we've got it in a position where we can do this back half, and they will work with us. And so that's the point we're at right now, and then we're just asking you to help us out with
changing the zone.
Yep, changing the zoning. So.
I have a question. Do you have any idea how many complexes you would fit there?
We are going to do about 100 units there.
101?
101.
101.
Okay.
I don't know if you got the picture.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
My question was, you've seen the letter from the Biesingers?
I've glanced at it.
Okay. I just wondered if, it looked like there was a few, they're calling them stipulations, maybe? Stipulate the following. And so maybe I'll just read those and see if you're okay with those, if that's all right. I don't necessarily saying that we have to do this. I just want to make sure you're aware of them. A 6-foot high wall, concrete fence, that's usually pretty
that's in your
part of the
code,
plan. Roadway for developed property is placed along the south side of the property, and all street lighting is placed along north side of the road, probably to help with the lighting. None of that's probably new. So that sound.
So that we'll work with staff with that. And what we
That's
can
not
do
how the
is-
project's designed. Okay.
So
Okay.
we'll do what we can do, but we'll have to stick with what you as a city would want and what will be best for the community and for them.
Appreciate your willingness to work with the neighbors that are there. I think that'll go a long way. So.
Can I just ask one more question, Mayor, while he's up here? And maybe the plat map is more of a screen that I'm talking about here and looking with. But the road that comes from the north, yeah, this one. So this road here, we say that the wetlands stretch all across the north side of this property. You feel confident, you've worked with them here, that they're going to be okay with this. But this is going to be a condition of being able to approve a plat here. Is that correct?
We have worked with them on that too. We'll be able to get it. There'll be some. So we'll do the first half. We've talked to. We were in Mike Pechtel with the Army Corps' office last week. We'll do the first half, and then we'll do the second half, and it should be fine.
Half of the road or half of the development?
Half of the development, and then the second half, as the city has, you can do 49 units, and we'll do those 49 units, and then we'll do the second half and put that road out. And they're fine with that. We've met with them, we've talked with them, and everything else.
This road, since Canyon Creek's developed and Walmart and everything, and where I live up by Brandon, over here more, I never even knew that road was here before I use it nearly 6 times a week now. But this road here, my question regarding this is because half of this is improved, where they've built townhomes south of you now, it's improved. Where somebody's built commercial over here, it's improved. And I get the improvement of only your property where you're going to develop. My concern here, it's okay if I make a mistake and go off this side here because there's not much to go off of. There's serious consequences for going off this side here into that.
We will help do that. So we're planning on taking care of that pipe on that side, and I think that's a part of your master plan.
Okay.
And then we should be able to recoup some of those costs through the... Yes. So.
Appreciate it. That would be, that's a corner that I don't think a lot of people see, but I see it a lot.
So we don't know, we're not going to the corner, but we're going to the end of our property.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it would be improving that
Yes.
side along with this side and helping pipe
Exactly.
When you say not doing the corner, what do you mean by that?
I mean, down here, off the map, we'll do this,
To the
we'll do
south.
that up to there. So,
So you're going to
We're
improve all the
planning-
way up here?
yes, that's what we're planning.
Okay.
So, but not behind us. Does
Sure.
that make sense?
No, I get that. My concern is you build the 49 units here, and we just increase traffic on a road that is a pretty tough road already. And I get it. Chris
And that's-
always tells me we don't build roads. Cities don't build roads. Developers build roads. But you're going to add some traffic to a road right here. That half of it's good. The other half is going to get calls to chief, taking people out of it because it's a tough one.
And that's why we're planning on participating in that and doing that so we can have that improved. You know, we hope that this will be a project that as the hospital comes in, people can walk from this project to the hospital. We are close enough to a lot of things that this should be, that people should be able to enjoy those things without even a car. But also, we need to have them have a way to get there, so we are planning on finishing that road down to that corner.
I love the idea of walkable neighborhoods like this, where you're going to have some kids and people in areas that can walk to different services. This borrow pit over here, even Brandon from Lake Shore would have a hard time climbing out of it. It's as big as
He's had a lot of experience.
I know he has.
Getting out of the borrow pit.
Yeah, I'd be worried about some kids from your development getting in that open ditch that's hard to climb out of. It's a mess.
And I think if you look at that ditch, it's deep from about our property line down, and then it shallows right up after that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll try to help take care of that problem.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Any others, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilmember Beck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any other questions, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 0219, changing the zoning designation and amending the official land use map of Spanish Fork City's general plan for the Anella Townhomes General Plan Amendment.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Mendenhall, a second by Councilman Scobes. This will be a roll call vote. Councilman Argal.
Aye.
Councilmember Beck.
Aye.
Councilman Gordon.
Aye.
Councilman Mendenhall.
Aye.
Councilman Scobes.
Aye.
That is approved.
Did we have a plat that we wanted to do with that at this time? Or
No.
Okay.
So, again, I'm guessing March, maybe April, that'll be back before you with some additional information from the Corps of Engineers, some issues ironed out, like any off-site improvements that might be required and those types of things, with both a zone change and a preliminary plat at the same time.
Okay, ordinance 03-19, making an assorted amendments to infill overlay zones master plan development.
We have been discussing two different projects here in the last several months. One is the one that we just talked about. Another one, it's over on 400 East, not far from 400 North. One would be a master plan development, the townhome project that we just looked at. The other one would also be a townhome project, but would fit in more with our current standards for infill overlay projects. And as we've looked at those, we found what we believe are some needs to make adjustments to our regulations for those types of developments, to draw some clear lines between what is an infill overlay project versus a master plan development, and to adjust some of the ways that we apply regulations like limits on density and setbacks. So I'm going to ask Mr. Avett to kind of help us maybe move through this quick. It's not as exciting as some of the stuff that we talk about on that first page, identifying a maximum project size of 2 acres for the infill overlay zone. And you'll note a little bit farther in the proposed changes that we have identified 2 acres as the minimum size for a master plan development. And each of those two zoning tools have a little different standards. They're distinct relative to really how they're intended to be used, and having that project size delineation between those two will help us communicate with potential applicants as to what their best options are. Also, there on that first page, we're proposing to eliminate a limit on the number of townhomes that can be attached together in one structure in infill overlay projects, and that's the direct result of some concepts that we've seen, again, for a project that you may be seeing here in a month or two for some property over on 400 East. The next significant change has to do with setbacks. Right now with master plan developments, setbacks, that is the distance that buildings have to be from another building or from a property line. Those are flexible. Applicants can propose what they want, and we get to review it, and if ultimately the council feels comfortable with it, it can be approved. And frankly, I think that works well. I don't think we've had situations really where that's been a problem or where it's been abused. And we're proposing that that same approach that we have with master plan developments be employed with infill overlay projects. Those are the changes there that are on on page number 2. Then, again, moving over, I already mentioned the proposed change to the minimum project size for master plan developments. That's on page 4. That would be 2 acres. And getting to the end, making a few changes to some numbers on our chart on page 7. Right now we have a gap relative to the density that's allowed in some different zoning districts. So today we make a jump from a maximum of 8 units that are allowed in a project in the R3 zone all the way up to 18. And maybe if you can picture the idea of having a gradual density increase from one zoning district to the next. Today we get to that R3 maximum, and that jump is rather abrupt and rather significant by taking the density up by more than two times, from 8 units up to 18 units. And also, with that set at 8, it really hinders what for us is how multifamily projects end up being approved in Spanish Fork. It's typically not by way of having multifamily units in a stacked fashion. It's typically with multifamily units in a side-by-side fashion, i.e. twin homes or townhomes. And typically those are done at 9 to 10 units to the acre. If you're really particular about your design and have a well-shaped property, you can maybe do 11 or 12 units to the acre. And in fact, with both the project that we just looked at and the one that I mentioned a couple of times over on 400 East, they're looking at being in that 9 to 10 unit to the acre range, which frankly I think is very appropriate for that type of housing product. And I believe that changing that 8 to a 12 simply makes our zoning program more functional by way of having a more gradual increase as you go from one zoning district to the next. And it makes it so that we don't have to jump to use, for example, the R4 zone to conceivably approve a project like the one that you just looked at, which makes me feel a little bit more comfortable to where, should those gentlemen come back in a couple of months to have that project approved with a request for the R3 zone in order to get the 9.5 units to the acre that they're looking for on that project, and us being able to change that zone to R3 that has a maximum allowable density of 12 versus making the jump all the way up to the R4 with 18. I have less reservations, making that recommendation. So again, just changing that 8 to a 12, but it does have some significant impacts. And then in the infill overlay zone, its language, we have some additional verbiage that relates to density and a couple of footnotes that are easy to miss, tied to the R16 and R3 zones that would reference footnote number 9 here, just to clarify that there is that language in the infill overlay zone, which we're not intending to change, but just trying to make that a little bit more clear for somebody that wants to understand exactly what is permissible. Those are the changes that are proposed. These are being proposed by staff. Both the Development Review Committee and the Planning Commission have recommended that they be approved.
All right. This is a public hearing. I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Beck, second by Councilman Scobes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're now in public hearing. Anyone that would like to talk about ordinance 03-19, I'm sure you're all just going to jump to the podium to talk about it. You're welcome. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Mendenhall, a second by Councilman Gordon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any other questions, comments? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve ordinance 0319, making assorted amendments to the infill overlay zone master plan developments.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Scobes, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. This also is a roll call vote. Councilmember Beck.
Aye.
Councilman Gordon.
Aye.
Councilman Mendenhall.
Aye.
Councilman Scobes.
Aye.
Councilman Argal.
Aye.
That approves. All right, new business. Mag River Trail Phase 2 change orders.
So this is talking about the River Trail project that we're really excited about, and that is running the trail up to the reservoir, as well as getting a spur into town, into the East Bench area. At any rate, with the purchase of the land on the east side of Poplar Lane, it made an opportunity for us to run a trail connection over to the river, and that was actually part of the reason why we purchased that land. And so this change order adds that to the project at the same line item costs that the rest of the trail project was in. Again, this the dollar amounts on a change order, the city's match is 6.77%. The rest is MAG's grant. This change order also utilizes a lot of the really good material that we found just above the golf course. And running that material, we're going to use some of it in place, but also use some of it there along Poplar Lane to help construct that trail. The change order also contemplates on the retaining wall. The retaining wall is just like the retaining walls on 1700 East, which look really good. There's a difference though. There's not a trail at the top of the retaining wall on 1700 East. And as that got constructed and you start looking, there's not a finished top edge on the trail side. We brought the engineers in, showed this to them. They drew up a plan that created a finish edge and offered to pay all the restocking costs for us sending out that top layer and bringing in a finished layer, so that we're held harmless on the cost of that design. So I thought the mayor would approve of that. But we will pay the difference in cost. Those finished blocks on both sides cost more than the other, so we'll pay the difference in cost of that with this change order. Those are the main items of the change order. Orders involved here. Okay. Any questions?
I just have a question. Just help me understand. Why is this in the business instead of the consent items? Help me understand that.
We put change orders and consent items when we talk to you ahead of time on them. But if it's new and they're as far-reaching as this, we usually do it here.
Okay. All right.
Then I'll make a motion to approve MAG River Trail Phase 2 change orders.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon.
Second.
Second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Get her built.
Huge deal. Seth won't.
Okay.
Hit Seth on Poplar Lane.
I know. All right, annexation policies. All right, so we're just going to table that one.
We're going back into close.
Right, so we need to go back and close for, okay?
I move we go into closed session for land transaction and litigation.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for being here. Scouts, you got off early. You know, that was a short one. Lucky you. Yeah, so come back anytime.
Come up here and get some candy.
Yeah, look, these guys got lots of candy for you.
Hey, so this is the mayor. So this is the guy, you gotta shake his hands. When you see him at Macy's, you can say hi to him. Yeah, you got her, you guys.
Depending on the day, it's sad for me too. I miss it horribly. You know, an opportunity opened up. I thought,